Traditional IRA, Roth IRA, 401k. There's a lot of confusion around this, and no matter how often somebody tells you about them, you still mix them up. Well, I'll tell you in one sentence how you can remember. Traditional IRAs give you the benefit now. Roth IRAs give you the benefit later. Just remember now or later's. And yes, the candy. And yes, I know it's not now or later's. It's now and later's, but where I grew up, it's now or later's. If you like that, I want you to hit that subscribe button and definitely watch to the end so that you make sure you understand the full concept of traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, and 401ks. Okay, so traditional IRAs started back in 1974, and it's because not everyone had a pension, okay? And we know now in 2024, 50 years later, pensions are nearly non-existent, okay? Not that many people actually have them. And it's because the math, once it starts to make sense, you realize that everybody can't get paid if they're no longer working. So what the IRS did was implement into the tax code that employers, or even people who weren't sponsored by the employer, had an option for retirement. And that was the traditional IRA. So you were allowed to put aside a certain amount of money each year, and it would reduce your taxable income. In 2024, the contribution limit is $7,000. If you are over 50 years old, then they allow you something that's called a catch-up contribution. So they're gonna allow you to put an extra $1,000 aside into your traditional IRA as part of your contribution. So under 70, 7,000, over 70, 8,000. What you'll come to find is when inflation continues, as it will, then the IRA limits or contribution limits will continue to increase. In fact, when they started this around the 70s, you used to only be able to put about, a few thousand or $2,000 into a traditional IRA as a contribution. But now, as you can see, with the higher contribution limits, this is the way that the government is allowing us to try and combat inflation on a household basis. One of the reasons why I say you get the benefit now when it comes to a traditional IRA is because in that tax year that you make the contribution, you can deduct that contribution amount directly from your taxable income. So if you make $80,000 and you make a $7,000 contribution, then the IRS is not going to tax you on $80,000. They're going to tax you on $73,000. So really what you're getting is a savings on taxes now, but just remember, you are going to be taxed on that money in the future when you retire. And you can start making distributions, and we call those withdrawals. So you'll hear withdrawals or distributions, it's the same thing. From your IRA, when you do that, you generally need to be over 59 and a half to make a qualified distribution. And once you do that, that's when Uncle Sam, the IRS, can go in and begin taxing you. So it literally doesn't matter what you do in the IRA, because they know that they're gonna tax you on the back end. They'll give you the tax benefit now, but they will tax you later. So you could very well put in your $7,000 contribution in 2024. That $7,000 could grow tax deferred, so you're not gonna get bothered by Uncle Sam while it's growing. And that $7,000 can grow up to $1 million. No one's gonna bother you until you need to withdraw that money from that account, okay? And that's when they're gonna tax you. It's just the hope that when you do make that withdrawal, when you know you're over 59 and a half, you're in a lower tax bracket, and maybe this will be better for you, right? That's the goal. But at the end of the day, making money is making money. Don't let taxes scare you from trying to make money through investing. So you just need to remember, you get the benefit now when it comes to a traditional IRA. Now, when we talk about Roth IRAs, the later, you are actually not going to get any tax benefit now from contributing to a Roth IRA, period. That's how it works. You see, the benefit is later. Remember, now or later, now or later, yeah. You will withdraw anything you've made, any of your gains on that money in your Roth IRA tax-free. There is nothing they will do. They will not, there's this penalty-free, tax-free. You could turn that into $1 million, and when you take it out of your Roth IRA, no taxes. That's the best part of Roth IRAs. And this is why you hear a lot of people saying you need to have a Roth IRA, or especially if you're young, right? But that's because you don't get any tax benefit right now. So again, traditional IRA now, Roth IRA later. So with the Roth IRA, if you make $80,000 and you're under 50, you make a $7,000 contribution, Uncle Sam is going to tax you on that $80,000, okay? It's almost as if you didn't make the contribution, right? Because they want to tax you now. The underlying theme of this is that the IRS has to tax you on something. They're either gonna get you now or they're gonna get you later, but they will get you. Just remember this, for traditional IRAs, you get the tax contribution or tax benefit on the contribution. You get the tax benefit on the growth, right? Because everyone's leaving you alone while your money is growing for you. But on the withdrawals, that's when they get you. So the gratification is a little bit more instant with a traditional IRA. Whereas a Roth IRA, you don't get the gratification now. It's gonna be delayed, which is okay, right? Because you don't get the tax-free contribution. You do get the tax-free growth, but the withdrawals, that is where the tax benefit is truly, truly received. Okay, so now you have to figure out, am I going to be at a higher or a lower tax situation in the future? That's the $1 million question, literally. And that will kind of dictate whether it's better to do a traditional or a Roth IRA. But for some people, if they figure, hey, they're at some of their higher earning levels right now, and maybe in the future when they're in their 60s and 70s and they're starting to get forced to withdraw money from their retirement accounts, maybe their adult kids are grown up, self-sufficient, maybe your home is already paid off, maybe your cost of living is so much lower that you are in a lower tax bracket, and maybe it is more advantageous to do traditional IRA, especially if you're a high earner right now. And if you're going to be a low earner in the future, and you can kind of control how much you take out of your IRA, then maybe a traditional IRA is best for you. On the flip side, if you think that you're going to be a low earner now and a higher earner in the future, then this is why a lot of people are going to say, hey, Roth IRA all the way, because if you're going to earn low now, you're likely going to be in a higher tax bracket in the future. So how can you avoid paying higher taxes in the future? Roth IRA. Because again, when you withdraw, everything is tax-free. One thing about that is that means you can't get the benefit now. So you have to have that delayed gratification. Pay the taxes now in order to pay or not pay taxes in the future and enjoy that. So you have to pick your poison, basically. Do you want to pay now or pay later? Either way, you're gonna pay. I honestly think it's perfectly fine to have both a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. I personally do, and that's mainly because I want some flexibility. I think there are benefits in the tax code where you could actually take advantage of them if you have taxable money. But then it's also great to have some tax-free money in the Roth IRA. So at the same time, you just have to figure out what you're gonna do, and your situation will vary. So don't just think that there's a one-size-fits-all with this. Just know that when it comes to contributing, actually putting money into these accounts, you can put $7,000 combined between both of the accounts each year. You cannot put $7,000 in your traditional and $7,000 in your Roth. That's a $14,000 contribution, and you will get in trouble if you do that. But you could say, hey, well, maybe I'll put $2,000 in the Roth, and then I'll put $5,000 in traditional, and then maybe somewhere along the lines, I can actually figure out a way to move the money between. We'll get to that. So you might wonder, should I open up a traditional or a Roth? Well, put it this way. The tax benefit on contributing to a traditional IRA is limited, and the government wants to keep it that way. They like this because they know that whatever gets put into a traditional can get taxed. That means Anyone can open up a traditional IRA account. You know, it could be millionaires, billionaires could have a traditional IRA account and still get taxed, right? And then the government can also receive that in revenue when they tax withdrawals. But not everyone can have a Roth. When I say that, I mean that not everyone can contribute directly to a Roth. You see, there are some income restrictions because they know, hey, everything withdrawn from a Roth is going to be tax-free in the future. So they have to put some type of barrier on there saying that, hey, if you're single in 2024 and you make over 161,000, that is the limit for being able to contribute to a Roth IRA. And usually you get phased out, so meaning you can't put the full $7,000 contribution. You might be able to put some, and then at a certain point, you can't put anything at all directly into a Roth. If you're married and you file jointly, well, then that income limit, that modified adjusted gross income limit, is $240,000. And again, you would be phased out and you can't put the full contribution amount, and at a certain point, you can't contribute at all. But there is a backdoor. They call it a backdoor Roth, and I can't stand it because it sounds weird, and it's not a backdoor in my opinion. You're literally putting a contribution into a traditional IRA, you're not taking the deduction, and then you are doing a conversion. You fill out a form at your brokerage, and they will move that contribution into a Roth IRA account also located at the same brokerage firm. And that's what's called a backdoor Roth. And it's really just saying, hey, I make too much to contribute directly into a Roth, so I need to put it in traditional first so that you guys can tax my money, and then that will allow me to take out tax-free or withdraw tax-free in the future. And this is very common, so when you see backdoor Roth IRA online, that's just all it is. It's a conversion of a traditional IRA contribution. If you have a traditional IRA or Roth IRA and you're still debating on what to invest in, I have a video where I break down index funds, mutual funds, and ETFs. And you can check that out right there, and that will help you have an idea of how to start. Okay, so next up is 401ks. And they're pretty much like a traditional IRA, but you need to remember these 5 specific facts about a 401k. You see, it has to be sponsored by an employer. They have the ability to make a discretionary match. The maximum contribution amount is much higher than a traditional IRA. There's a vesting period, and then also the selection. The selection of investments is very limited, and I'll explain. Okay, so first of all, when I'm talking about a 401k, I'm also talking about 403b plans and 457b plans, because these are all within around the same line of tax code, basically. And it really just means that you either work for a private company or a local government, or maybe you're a firefighter or a police officer. There's some different plans that are within them, but they're still falling within the same line of tax code. So the tax rules apply similar to a 401k as they would with all of those other ones. Just remember, when it comes to these type of plans, these 401k plans, your employer has budgeted money to match your investment in there. Of course, they're only going to match a certain amount, but that money is already budgeted there for you. There are some employers that will put money in your 401k regardless of if you put money in at all. And then there's other employers that need you to contribute first before they will match what you put in. Just know that if you don't put anything in, you are leaving money on the table. It is free money that is already budgeted for you. It's part of your compensation plan. So if you don't participate in your 401k plan, you are leaving money on the table. Another big difference with 401ks versus a traditional IRA is the fact that the contribution limit is so much higher. In 2024, the contribution limit is $23,000. So that means you could essentially have most of your paycheck probably go directly into your 401k plan, and that money reduces your taxable income dollar for dollar. So if you make $80,000 and you've been able to put $23,000 into your 401k, well, first of all, congratulations, because you're saving at a rate of about 28, 29%, and that is incredible. But that also means that the IRS cannot tax you on $80,000. They will only tax you on the difference, which is $57,000. So that is amazing. And again, they also have something called a catch-up contribution. So if you're over 50 and you're contributing to a retirement plan or a 401k plan, then you get to save an additional $7,500. So essentially $30,000 if you're over 50 can go towards your 401k and reduce your taxable income. One of the big drawbacks I see with 401ks is the fact that the investment selection is very, very limited. You see, with a traditional IRA, you can buy stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, options, and several other investments. But when it comes to your 401k plan, it all depends on your provider. And most of the time, you're only going to have a selection of about 30 to 40 mutual funds. At the end of the day, when it comes to 401ks, you more than likely would just have a selection of 30 to 40 mutual funds. And they're not all amazing, but you're not going to be in a bad situation with most of them. So just know that a lot of the selections within a 401k plan they're designed so that they are very appropriate for someone who isn't even fully comfortable with investing to still invest, leave it on autopilot, and still make out pretty well as far as the investments are concerned. So it's very hard to lose a lot of money in your 401k. It's easier to make a selection and you probably don't perform as well. That's a completely separate discussion. One other thing regarding a 401k plan is the vesting schedule. So if you aren't familiar with vesting, basically it's a certain period of time where your employer requires you to stay at the company in order for you to qualify for the match that they've given you in your 401k. So I've worked for places where you had to stay there for 5 years before you fully are vested and entitled to the employer match. Your money, of course, you get that, you keep that in your retirement account, but the money that they've matched over the years, they'll say 20% every year you're entitled to. And then after you've been there for 5 years, you're entitled to 100% of their match. And then there's other companies where they say, hey, you are 100% vested from the day you start, which is great. That just means that you could start and then leave in a year or even less and still be entitled to whatever the employer match is. But that's what the vesting schedule is. Make sure you understand that at your company. In summary, I think most people should probably have 2 or maybe all 3 of these accounts. It's only going to help you the more investment accounts you have working in your favor and giving you different opportunities to benefit from the tax system. But when you want to remember traditional IRA and Roth IRA, just remember now or later. Traditional IRA is the tax benefit now, Roth IRA is the tax benefit later. If you have any issue trying to figure out, well, how many accounts should I have? Which one should I open first? Well, I have a perfect video for you. Just watch it right here.